Hi everyone, this is Wit with Brainstem, and I'm giving my day 11 of 25 update. I'm doing a little bit earlier in the evening, so I'm not dead tired or haven't forgotten about it, which is nice. I've also started to use this particular sheet. I use GoodNotes for all my notes and for tutoring students. Rather than at the end of the day try to remember what I wrote down, I'm using this as a chronological record keeper. And so this is chronological order now rather than my other formatting. But started off the day with my 40-minute walk. I have started listening to a new book. I like it a little bit more, but it's kind of intense and it's just name dropping a whole bunch of little things. It's a story, or it's a historical book, nonfiction, about European kingdoms that are less known because they vanished so quickly in the grand scheme of things. And so the first chapter was all on the Visigoths. And so it's a lot of name dropping of people and little villages and towns from 1,000 years ago in Europe. So it's kind of hard to follow, but I like it a little bit more. I'm going to keep on trying with it. Then I finished up the advanced math nonlinear equations section that I started yesterday. And I got 18 out of 21, which at first I was excited about that, but then I realized I want to do better on that. But when looking back at the 3 that I missed, I'm not really timing myself with these, so it's not a time management issue. So either the problem is going to be when I'm practicing a careless mistake, or I just didn't know how to do this. And all 3 of them were careless mistakes. You know, if something decreases by 80%, that means 20% is left. And so you have to multiply by 0.20, and I flipped that. So I would say it's stuff that I understand, but it was just simple mistakes like that. And then I've been telling myself that I wanted to go over standard English convention before my practice exam tomorrow. So I did 2 days worth of English today. And honestly, I found this one online blog post that was really helpful for me. It kind of laid down all the rules for boundaries, like when to use a semicolon, when to use a colon, when to use dashes, when to use commas, and when to use none of them, which is stuff that I knew and mostly remembered, but it was helpful to understand when to use a colon better. I always thought that colons were used before lists, but it can also be for extra information that is not necessary. Necessary information has no punctuations. And then on that same document, it had stuff about form tenses and hanging modifiers and stuff like that, which was very helpful for the second skill, standard English convention, form, structure, and sense. I looked at that PDF and I remembered that there was a question about an old NBA player who had already served in World War II and won some gold medals before playing in World War II. And so it was the past perfect verb tense. And I would not have remembered that if I hadn't looked at that PDF this morning. So I feel very good, 100% on standard English convention with those. I'm hoping to have 100% on standard English convention tomorrow during the practice exam. And so up to this point, the skills that I've struggled with the most have been ideas and information, command of evidence. That's tough for me sometimes. And then in math, it was the inequalities. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of a brush up on those before I start the exam, the practice exam tomorrow. But then I will report how I do in tomorrow's recap. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all tomorrow.